Ant-Man and the Wasp is out and creating a lot of buzz over how the movie was and how the mid-credit scene ties into Avengers 4. Now, the movie was more or less a palate cleanser after everybody got dusted during Infinity War. But should we go see this movie? For those of you guys looking for a short and quick spoiler-free answer, here it is. Go see this one at a matinee. It was fun. I had a good time watching the movie. You know, had some funny moments, had some cool action scenes, and it's definitely cool for the kids. You know, a good family fun movie. But unfortunately, most of the movie was seen in the trailers. I would say that I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. You know, for those of you guys looking for a rating, it's definitely worth the watch, but, you know, it's not something you have to rush to go see at the theaters tonight. So if you haven't seen the movie, scurry on like little ants, close this video, and go check out the movie before you watch the rest of this video, because I'm about to spoil the hell out of it for you. So again, close this video, go check it out, then come back and check this video out again and see if you feel the same way I do. So you still there with me? Alright, that's what's up. So let's get into it. Okay, so like I stated in the non-spoilers, much of the movie was spoiled during the trailers, which sucked, especially since, you know, Ant-Man is more or less a comedy, one of the comedies of the Marvel superhero films. And if you show me all of the funny moments in the trailer, then it's not going to be so funny for me in the theaters. And you think they would have stopped with the funny moments, but they even showed all of the action sequences in the trailers, which, you know, for me it sucked, at least when I was watching the film. Paul Rudd brings his usual sense of humor back to Scott Lang, aka the Ant-Man. So I very much enjoyed his character, and I think he overall carries the movie very well. Now, the movie starts off with Hope Van Dyne, who's played by Evangeline Lilly, and Michael Douglas's Hank Pym talking about how they can save her mother, which is Janet Van Dyne, played by Michelle Pfeiffer. And she's stuck inside of the quantum realm where she's been in staycation for about 30 years. All right, so then it jumps back to present day, which is just before the events of Infinity War, where Scott Lang is now on house arrest following the events of Civil War. So this is about 5 years after Civil War and just before the events of Infinity War. So you still with me? All right, good. So Scott, like I said, is on house arrest, and he's only a few days before he gets off of house arrest and he can go living his normal life as Scott Lang with his daughter, who is extremely cute in the film. I think she was awesome. Shortly thereafter, he gets this vision where he sees a memory of Janet Van Dyne trying to find her daughter. She's playing hide and go seek with her, and he is obviously alarmed by it. He doesn't quite know what he's seeing, so he contacts Hank Pym, who he hasn't spoken to now for about 5 years, following the events of him being arrested after Civil War. So at this point, both Hope Van Dyne and Hank Pym are on the run because Scott Lang using the equipment. So since he was using the Ant-Man suit, now Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne are both tangled into it. So they're mad at him. You know, Scott's kind of upset about it. He's sad about it, but they're not on talking terms at this point. So he contacts Hank Pym, and then after that, the story kind of plays out from there. Okay, so then most of the film is Hank, Scott, and Hope trying to recover this final piece to build this device that will allow them to go into the quantum realm and save Janet. So all the while, they're plagued by this new enemy named Ghost and this other agent guy. The Ghost character is played by Hannah John Kamen, I think is how her name is pronounced. And this guy, he's not really an agent, he's more of like an arms dealer. And he's played by Walton Goggins. I got this computer going right here with some notes so that way I can keep up with things. So that's pretty much it as far as the story goes. Now let's talk a little bit about the characters. So the first character, Paul Rudd, obviously, who's playing Ant-Man. Like I stated earlier, he's doing a fantastic job playing this character. I think he brings a good sense of humor to the film. He's an awesome-looking, cool dude. You know, he seems like the kind of guy you want to have a beer with, which I think is awesome. I like the character of Scott, and I think he did a good job there. Evangeline Lilly reprises her role as Hope Van Dyne. This is also AKA the Wasp. I think she's beautiful. She's sexy. She's seen that she's capable of doing the combat that she does in the film, so she looks like she's in some, some shape. So I think that works out really well. And I also like the banter that she has with Scott's character, with Paul Rudd. And it allows for kind of a romance to build there, which I think is pretty cool. I think they did a good job with that as well. So Michael Douglas reprises his role as Hank Pym. I think he's pretty much the same old. You know, he's a tough old bastard that doesn't like to take any kind of answers from anybody. He likes to do things his way. And he brings a nice dry sense of humor to the film. So I think that's done pretty well. Michelle Pfeiffer is also in the movie. She plays Janet Van Dyne. Now, she wasn't in the film all that much, but I think she brings the usual charm that she does in all of her movies to this film, so I think she did a great job there. And in the movie, she is trapped in the quantum realm for, again, 30 years. They retrieve her from that, and she has these abilities that they don't really quite explain, which I think that's kind of a screw up there a little bit. I wish they would have known or could explain a little better what she's doing. But it was nice seeing her. I also like what they did with both Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer when they did the back stories on them. They had a couple flashbacks. They did the same thing with the character played by Lawrence Fishburne, and they make them look really young, which I think they did an awesome job with that. And they look just like they did, back in the '80s when I first started watching them. So I think that's kind of cool. So then Scott's band of misfits, his friends, they're back. Played by Michael Pena, T.I., and David Malchian. I'm totally butchering that name. Totally sorry about that. So I think those guys were really funny, just like they always are. Michael Pena brings back the same kind of humor he did in the first film. So I think that was done very well. All those flashbacks that he does and those long stories. T.I., witty as all hell. Love that guy in the movies. Does a great job. My opinion, though, I think David's character, that is... What's this guy's name? David's character is Kurt. So Kurt is the funniest of the bunch, in my opinion. I really like... in the first movie, I thought Michael Pena stole it. I think David's character took front seat with that little band. I think he did a good job there. So then Scott's family is back also. So that's Judy Greer, Bobby Cannavale, and Abby Fortson. So they are his ex-wife, his ex-wife's new husband, and then obviously his daughter. I think, with the exception of Abby, the family's kind of weird, in my opinion. I think that they're nice people, and everything is cool. I don't get, especially the guy, Bobby's character. I feel that in the first film, he did not like Scott, adamantly hated Scott, which... I can see that kind of feeling coming out, especially when you're dealing with an ex-husband, but in this film, he's all lovey-dovey with him, constantly wanting to hug him, and it's kind of over the top, and I just felt that it wasn't natural, in my opinion. Now, Abby's character, I think she did an amazing job as his daughter. She's extremely cute. I love the conversations that went back and forth between Scott and I think Cassie is her name. And I think they did an awesome job there. I think that was very believable. Reminded me of the conversations I have with my own daughter. And, it's fun. So then that brings me to Walter Goggins, who's playing Sonny Birch in the film. Now, he is my least favorite character of the film. He plays a arms dealer, and he's trying to... I think it's an arms dealer is what he is. They really don't explain that too well. He's trying to capture Hank Pym's technology. And I guess he's trying to sell it in the black market to people. He plays what you would expect. Walter Goggins usually plays a bad guy in most films that I've seen him in, TV shows. So that's really no different for him. But in the film, he's used more of like just cheap humor. And he kind of just gets in the way of the whole story, in my opinion. So I don't really feel like he was even needed in the film. So, yeah, not really anything special from him. All right, so then Lawrence Fishburne's in the film, and he plays Bill Foster. And that, in the comics, you guys know him as Giant Man. So... he, in the film, worked with Hank Pym in the past, and they had a falling out. So there was kind of a back and forth between him and Michael Douglas that I thought was pretty well. He's also the guy who's helping Ghost try to help herself. She's going through some things. And so he's kind of the bad guy in the film, but not really. He's still kind of a good person, and he's doing it for good reasons. So I think he brings a nice... change to the film, a different side of things, another scientist. So, all right, and then finally, Hannah John Kamen plays Ava, aka the Ghost. So I like her character. I think she is very pretty and very, she brings a psychotic element to the film. She's going through some problems because she was subjected to some quantum energy which killed her parents, and it gave her these abilities where she's phasing in and out, so she's kind of like a ghost, and it's uncontrollable. So the SHIELD found her, and then they utilized her as a weapon, and she killed people. She ran missions for them, spying missions for them, so she became a hardened soldier. And now she's dying from this quantum energy that's built up inside of her, and because of that, it's making her it's causing her pain. It's making her kind of psychotic in some scenes. I mean, there was one scene where she was looking at Scott Lang and her eyes were like wild and crazy, and I was like seeing that scene from the Wedding Crashers. She's like, "I find you," that kind of thing. It was a little freaky, but overall, I think the character was really cool, and she was a nice side or nice enemy for the Wasp. The combat scenes between the two of them, I think, were done very cool. The choreography there was awesome, so I think that was done very well. So I felt that the movie had a long list of characters that were all bringing humor to the movie. So I felt like the movie was a lot more lighthearted than Infinity War was, obviously. And it was probably one of the more lighthearted movies in all of the Marvel films, even including the original Ant-Man. So, you know, it was funnier than Black Panther, and it was not as funny as Thor Ragnarok, which could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on if you like Thor or not. Now, the story overall I felt was not very hard to follow. It was pretty much kind of predictable. You know, the good guys are trying to find that last part to save their mother, and the bad guys are trying to get that last part to save themselves. And in the end, the good guys win, and they're also able to save the bad guy. So, you know, I thought that it was a win-win for everybody, right? Well, maybe not quite. There's that end mid-credit scene that gets everybody. So one of the best scenes of the entire movie for me was probably that mid-credit scene. And it's probably one of the best mid-credit scenes that I've seen since Iron Man, the first Iron Man. So in this mid-credit scene, you find Hope, Janet, and Hank, and they send Scott back into the quantum realm so that he can retrieve some quantum energy to help Ghost. So Ghost needs this energy in order to keep her going. So while Scott is in there retrieving this energy, he's about to head back out and then all of a sudden lose contact with everybody. It quickly shifts over back to them, and you see that they're now turned to dust by the snap heard around the world.
2 snaps, a twist, and a kiss.
So what's important about this scene is not really that he's stuck in the quantum realm or that they're turned to dust. What is important is that just before he goes into the quantum realm, Janet warns him about going into a time vortex. She says that if you get sucked into this time vortex, you could be lost forever. So what does that mean? Well, on the internet, everybody's speculating that Scott is going to go back in time to the events of the Battle of New York, where the Avengers are having their first battle as the fledgling group. So this is supported by pictures that we've seen online where you see Ant-Man as part of the roster of the Avengers for Avengers 4, and they also have images that have leaked showing Scott, Captain America, and the Hulk in a scene that looks very much like the Battle of New York. You can see Captain America dressed in the original costume from Avengers 1. So will Scott go back in time? I'm hoping not. I really don't like the idea of Scott going back in time. It's because while I do like and enjoy a very good time travel movie, it creates a paradox. It's because if he goes back in time, first of all, he's still stuck inside of the quantum realm. So where he can't have any help in the future, he pretty much can't have the help in the past, is because nobody knows he's in there either. So it still doesn't explain how he gets out. The other thing is that if he does get out, now you have 2 Scott Langs in the past at the exact same time. He warns the Avengers of the upcoming threats of Thanos, which when he went into the quantum realm, he didn't even know that Thanos existed at this point. So again, there's another issue as to how he's going to warn these people. So I don't see that really makes sense in my opinion. Now, what I feel was probably going to happen is that you still have Bill Foster that's out there, and you still have Ghost. And Bill Foster has the ability to manipulate the quantum realm as well. You know, he worked with Hank Pym on the project, so he has some knowledge on this. So I'm thinking that what's going to happen is that they didn't get dusted. They go searching for Hank and for Scott because they need that energy for Ghost. And in trying to search for them, they find the van, and then they're able to get Scott out of the quantum realm. So that's my opinion. But what do you guys think? Did you like Ant-Man and Wasp? Did you dig that mid-credit scene? Did it get you pumped for Avengers 4? Do you think Ant-Man will find Doc Brown and go back to the future to warn the Avengers?
Great Scott!
Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ding that bell to get notified when more videos like this get posted. You can catch more videos just like this at mcecentral.com. And until next time, keep it marvelous.